Today was a dark day in the history of the United States Capitol.
I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what happened. I thought we were going to have to fight our way out.
We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats.
This country is a nation of laws and not of men.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And may God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
Tonight, Congress is finishing the job. They will certify Joe Biden's Electoral College victory.
Representatives and senators returned to work about 6 hours after a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building.
And within the hour, we have confirmed 4 people died in today's protests. 1 woman was shot by police. 3 other people died after a medical emergency. Several other rioters were taken to the hospital, and 14 D.C. police officers had to be treated for their injuries.
And it really is such a struggle to find any comparison of what we all watched today. Trump supporters overwhelming Capitol Police and then taking over the U.S. Capitol by force, interrupting the Electoral College process.
Truly disturbing images. A noose outside the Capitol, a Confederate flag inside the Capitol. That didn't even happen during the Civil War.
We saw people climbing the balcony of the Senate, scaling the Capitol facade. And this smiling Trump supporter there carrying the podium with the Speaker of the House logo on it.
And then there were lawmakers ducking in their seats, trying to protect themselves and each other. Within the last hour, we learned D.C. will be under state of emergency until after Inauguration Day.
And tonight, Denver 7 brings you 360 coverage of the chaos in our nation's capital. You're going to hear perspectives from Republicans, Democrats, independent voters, protesters, and legal experts, all weighing on the same question: what do we do after today here in the country going forward? We're going to begin with our chief investigative reporter, Tony Kovaleski. Tony?
A day our generation will never forget. World leaders called it disgraceful, actions and images not expected from the United States. While others simply called it an attack on American democracy. The chaos began shortly after noon Eastern. It followed this speech by President Trump.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
The president promising never to concede.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
President Trump also called on his vice president to ignore the will of the people and overturn the election.
Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
The president's supporters then marched to the Capitol. Inside, the vice president officially breaking from the president, telling lawmakers he will follow the Constitution, follow the vote of the people, and ignore the president's demands. Also inside, Congress began the process of certifying the electoral vote, including Colorado Congressman Joe Neguse and newly elected Lauren Boebert.
You cannot change the rules of an election while it is underway and expect the American people to trust it.
With respect to my new colleague from Colorado, the question is not whether Joe Biden was elected the 46th president of the United States. He clearly was.
Moments later, about 90 minutes after the president called on his supporters to march on the Capitol, this video. The unthinkable, the unforgettable, a non-peaceful protest. Protesters breaking their way into the Capitol, a lawless outbreak in a building where our country's laws are debated and created.
Get down under your chairs if necessary, so we have folks entering the rotunda.
In a matter of minutes, senators and members of Congress rushed from the chambers, some ducking and covering, trying to find some sort of safety, while doors were barricaded and guns were drawn. And this remarkable picture of Colorado Congressman Jason Crow. You can see the concern in his eyes. Then at 3 p.m. Eastern, about 3 hours after the president's speech, pictures from inside the Capitol started circulating. This protester made his way to the office of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, another protester in the Senate chamber, proclaiming President Trump won the election. Now at 4 p.m., the president's press secretary tweeting the D.C. National Guard was being mobilized.
This is not dissent, it's disorder.
And then President-elect Biden calling for action from President Trump.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
While protesters continued their assault on the Capitol, now about 30 minutes after the speech by the president-elect, President Trump released a 1-minute recorded video on Twitter, again falsely claiming the election was stolen.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
Published reports show protesters remained in the Capitol until at least 5:30 p.m. Eastern. A half hour later, a much stronger police presence outside, and curfew began in our nation's capital. It was an afternoon where one woman was killed, and the history of this presidency and our country forever changed. But at 8 p.m. Eastern, the vice president reconvened the Congress, sending a message: the protesters would not stop our democracy.
To those who wreaked havoc in our capital today, you did not win. Violence never wins. And may God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
And the next 24 hours promise to provide even more political drama. The president's closest allies tonight, senators, cabinet members, and White House staff, distancing themselves, look for more discussion about possible impeachment or invoking the 25th Amendment, which allows for a president not fit to serve to be removed. Shannon?
Tony Kovaleski. Tony, thanks for that report.